I'm Samantha Chian, your host with Spirit of Nevada. This episode is brought to you by the Richard Harris Law Firm, helping families and injured victims throughout Nevada for over 40 years. Hope you enjoy the show. Hello everyone, Samantha here, and we're going to be doing things a little differently on this episode. We're going to recap back to when we first started Spirit of Nevada. Now, the episodes were only about 2 to 3 minutes long, max. I like to call them mini commercials because they were short and sweet to the point. So while I believe it's important to just live in the moment because that's all you can control, I also think it's important to look back on your past to see just how far you've come. And so that's what we're going to be doing on this episode, beginning with the Refuges here in Nevada. Being outdoors, sound of nature, getting to go explore all the wonderful places of Nevada. These last few months have been hard on all of us, and we've had to adapt to many changes. But now that things are opening up again, Spirit of Nevada gets to do what we do best, and that's go out and find all the neat places around our state so that you all can take your friends and family to go exploring. So today we're gonna go on a special adventure with our new BFF, Rob, and he's gonna take us around the beautiful Pahranagat National Wildlife Refuge. And we're gonna see all the cool things you can do in one spot.
So each refuge and the refuge system throughout the nation has got a refuge purpose. So the refuge was actually purchased for a specific purpose. Pahranagat was purchased for migratory birds. We're an oasis in the Pahranagat Valley, a major migration hub for the birds that are migrating through the Pacific Flyway and these flight corridors. So this one, when the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service purchased this in 1963, they identified the importance of this area for migratory birds, especially waterfowl. So they purchased this one for waterfowl and really like it. When I first moved out here, I just wanted to get the western experience. I've never been out west before, wanted to work with the cinnamon teal. I fell in love with the place. The sunsets are amazing. The night skies are absolutely amazing too. And there's no light out here and you can see the little satellites go by. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
It's divided into 3 main areas: Upper Lake, Middle Marsh, and Lower Lake. At the Upper Lake, you'll find 15 primitive lakeside campsites. It's a first come, first served basis, and the cost is $0. If you'd like to make a contribution, you can at the registration kiosk, and it's the perfect way to end your day after hiking, hunting, or exploring.
Run away with me.
All right, so what fun do we have in store for tonight?
So we're going to be running the airboat tonight, catching waterfowl. So the airboat running at night is a technique that we use, one of our techniques that we use to catch waterfowl. It's the drone of the engine and the lights confuse the waterfowl at night, and we're able to use a net and scoop them up. So it's going to be pretty fun.
So how many geese do we expect to catch tonight?
There's about 20 geese down there right now, so we're hoping for at least a 75% capture rate, but they are veterans and they know what we're getting ready to do as soon as they hear the engine fire up. They're flightless right now, so all they have is to be able to swim and try to get away from us, so we're going to use the power and the speed of the boat to come up on them, and then when they hear the boat and the noise, because it's real loud, and they see the light, it confuses them, and then we'll be able to get up on them and start scooping them.
All right, so what's the benefit of banding these geese?
So waterfowl banding, or banding in general, is a mark recapture program that we use, and it's the best mark recapture program, in my opinion, in the science today, because it uses citizen science. Recapture this data, whether it be hunter harvest, or if you see the band and able to read it, or if you find a dead bird that just died of old age or whatever, you can report this information and to the bird banding lab, which is in Maryland, and then that gives us information on mortality, survival, reproductive rates. All this information goes into one of the things that they use to be able to set up, or biologists use to be able to, in the flyway, they'll be able to use to come up with harvest estimates and come up with bag limits and seasons for hunters.
So this one here is already banded. So these are the pin feathers with the new feathers emerging. So this bird cannot fly right now, which is why we target them. We can go out and get them, otherwise they would just get up and fly away on us. So it takes a month or so for them to get new wings in, and then they can move along. But this one here is a recapture. It's got a band already when we captured it. We'll have to look at the data and see if it's one of ours from the previous years, because we've been doing this for a few years. We also frequently catch geese from Reno, but you never know what you could find.
You may call it in the sea, but you've only lost the night. Preset all your pretty feelings, may they comfort you tonight. And I'm climbing over something, and I'm running through these walls. I don't even know if I believe. I don't even know if I believe. I don't even know if I believe everything you're trying to say to me. I had the strangest feeling. Your world's not all it seems. So tired of misconceiving what else this could have been. I don't even know if I believe. I don't even know if I believe. I don't even know if I believe everything you're trying to say to me. So open up my eyes, tell me I'm alive. This is never gonna go our way. If I'm gonna have to guess what's on your mind.
Say something like you love me.
The Pahranagat National Wildlife Refuge is a sweet escape from Las Vegas. It's one of the most beautiful places I have been to, and I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I'm Samantha Chion, but you can call me Sam with Spirit of Nevada, brought to you by the Richard Harris Law Firm.
Here's the thing about relationships. They're all about the give and take, a solid foundation based on mutual respect. That's what makes it possible for people to reach out for help. At the Richard Harris Law Firm, getting justice for the injured is our mission. Giving up is not an option, and we never back down.
Never in my wildest dreams did I think that David and I would be on an airboat in the middle of the night looking for geese. And so it was a remarkable experience. We were bragging about it the entire ride home, which was a few hours, but we couldn't even stop talking about it. Even had to have the radio off because it was so exciting. It was a big adrenaline rush. And I just felt truly honored to be a part of something so remarkable. So I just want to take a minute and thank you, Rob, and the entire team for welcoming us. We had a fabulous time, and it's something that I'll never forget. And those people that we filmed with at the Pahranagat also are involved at the Moapa Wildlife Refuge. And what was really cool there is David, who runs the program, told us initially that they were looking for this bird. Now it's called the striker bird. And for 3 years straight, they could not catch it. And I don't want to say we're luck, but they happened to catch it on this episode. And so let's begin.
A river to a valley, an ocean to a stone. The time it takes the edges to become well worn. But with your arms around me, I've never been more sure that all this time and softened lights are better than before. We're better than before. My love will not change. My love will not change. Through the years it grows, but time will hold.
Back in June, we filmed at the Pahranagat National Wildlife Refuge. While we were banding geese, Rob introduced us to David, who runs the Moapa National Wildlife Refuge. Every refuge has a purpose. This one in specific is dedicated to protecting the endangered Moapa dace. They also do other things like banding birds. Today, we're going to be banding songbirds in specific, and we're going to learn about why this is so important to preserve our wildlife here in Nevada. So tell me a little bit about the importance of bird banding and why you do it here at the Moapa Refuge.
Okay, what we do here at Moapa is part of a larger program called MAPS, which is an acronym that stands for Monitoring Avian Productivity and Survivorship. And so songbird populations have been declining for decades, and we're not really sure why. There are a lot of other long-term breeding bird monitoring programs, such as the Breeding Bird Survey, where every year for decades people run the same routes and they count every bird they hear or see. And that's very useful information for identifying trends in population. So you may be hearing and seeing less of a bird or less of a specific species, but you don't know why. So what MAPS does is it provides us with vital rates, which are things like adult survival, recruitment, which just means how many of the young survive into the fall, and then their reproductive rates. And so by doing that, we can kind of pinpoint what the reasons for the declines are.
And so based on that, what are the reasons for the declines?
Typically, it's loss of habitat through development or just changes in the habitat. And northerly parts of some birds' range is climate change.
invasive species can have a very negative effect on songbirds. They really have a lot working against them.
These fish right here may be small, but they play a big role in our ecosystem. And the Moapa Wildlife Refuge is dedicated to making sure that these fish stay healthy, happy, and they don't become extinct. This place didn't always look this beautiful. It used to be an area back in the 50s where people would go swimming and hang out until a team back in 1979 established this place. And it took a lot of manpower to dig up the pools and re-put everything down, repave it so that you and I can come visit. And I have to say, throughout this whole process, it's been wonderful because I've got to work with an amazing team of biologists, of researchers, of rangers that have just done such a wonderful job keeping this place beautiful so that we can enjoy it. And it's just been a real honor to work with the refuge, and I can't brag enough about this place. So if you're ever in the area, you just go an hour away from Las Vegas, stop by, you might learn something new, and your kids or other family members would probably enjoy it as well. All right, so tell me about this visitor center here.
Well, this is Moapa Valley National Wildlife Refuge. It was established in 1979. It was established as, it was the first refuge established to protect an endangered fish. So the Moapa dace lives in these warm springs here. The water comes out of the ground between 86 and 90 degrees year-round. And so these fish are specialized to live in that specific environment.
That's very warm water.
Yes, it's hot. It's like bath water. And so the purpose of this refuge was to protect the dace. The main threats for dace are habitat alteration and invasive species.
So before you built the visitor center and had the team count the Moapa days, and I know it was endangered, how many Moapa days did they have before?
Roughly 2,000 to 3,000. That was in the early 80s. There's been a lot of habitat restoration, and then we've also had some catastrophic wildfires here that lowered the population, as well as an invasion of blue tilapia. Tilapia got into the system and started eating the dace, and we were down to around 400 individuals in 2008.
Wow, that's quite a drop.
Yeah, so we've pretty much doubled the population in the last 10 or 12 years.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So that's really good news for here to be able to have that many. And how many do you expect to have where it's no longer endangered?
Our goal is 6,000 for delisting. And these are what we call endemic species, which means they occur nowhere else in the world. So this is the only place in the world that these fish exist. So the Moapa dace's range is only about 2 miles of stream. And when you stand up on the overlook, you're overlooking the entire range of this fish. It's the only where in the world you can see it.
And it's here in Nevada.
Yep. Moved a lot of the palm trees and reconstructed the stream channels back to where they historically would have been.
Wow. Well, you guys have done a wonderful job.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
It really is. All right, now we gotta go,
Yeah, we gotta go.
get the songbirds,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. You want to keep David mic'd up? Can we just keep him mic'd up? Ready? All right, filming. All right, we're still rolling. Okay, move my stuff. All right, come on.
Oh, there's 3 birds.
So we caught 3 birds in this net. So I saw the excitement back there catching this songbird. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, this is a shrike. This is the first one we've caught here at the station. It's also the first one I've ever personally caught. It's also known as the butcher bird. This is a predatory songbird, so it will prey on other very small birds, mice, lizards, little snakes, grasshoppers. They will use either a thorny plant or barbed wire to impale their prey onto the thorns or onto the barbed wire.
They're that smart.
Yes, and so
Very cool.
one of the coolest songbirds out there. I'm so excited to catch this bird. All right.
All right, let's head back to the station. These measurements. I had such a wonderful time in Moapa. I made new friends, I got to band some songbirds. I highly recommend this place for the nature enthusiasts, those who just love finding water in the middle of the desert. I'm Samantha Chion, but you can call me Sam with Spirit of Nevada. Brought to you by the Richard Harris Law Firm.